Muki walks closer to them and asks if the queen approached him regarding taking in another concubine. Yao Ge bows respectfully at Muki, addressing him as her crown prince. Muki looks at her incredulously for addressing him so intimately. She tries to appeal to his kind heart, but the eunuch assisting her intervenes to defend the queen's intentions. He tells Muki that the queen is only concerned for his well-being and wants someone to care for him. She sees the goodness in Yao Ge, which prompts her decision. He seeks for the crown prince to accept the gift graciously. The queen's blatant disregard for him does not go past Anga. She refuses to accept Anga as her son's lover. A dark cloud forms around Anga's mind as he feels sad about the queen's rejection. She is aware that Muki will not accept any lover other than Anga. However, he must compromise, as having a male lover exclusively will not be a good look for Muki. Perspiration runs down the eunuch's face as he tells them the queen's ultimatum. Should Muki reject Yao Ge, the queen shall take it against Anga. Muki rages at the eunuch for uttering such words. Yao Ge kneels down, a vision of a virtuous woman admitting that all of it was her fault. She tells Muki that he should not be angry at the queen. As Yao Ge's features are similar to those of Anga, the queen chose her to be his concubine. She's keeping the fact that she lied to the queen to gain her favor. Muki raises his hand in anger, ready to strike her. A hand stops him. It is Anga who tells him that it will be disrespectful to the queen if Muki slaps the concubine she chose for him. It will not be a good look if Muki rejects a royal gift. Muki turns to Anga, asking him if he's implying that he accepts Yao Ge as Muki's concubine. Yao Ge lets out a chuckle, unable to contain her glee. She tells them that she knows what needs to be done. She promises to not be in their way. Anga tells the eunuch that he is willing to take the punishment as long as the queen withdraws her decision to appoint Yao Ge as Muki's concubine. That's it. Anga, fight for your man. Anga can see through Yao Ge's sweet facade. He knows that Yao Ge has evil plans that will eventually cause harm to Muki. She tells the eunuch that Yao Ge once tried to seduce the crown prince and is up to no good. With tears streaming down her face, Yao Ge tries to be pitiful and tells Anga that he cannot say such things, as it is he who brought her to Yi country. Anga cuts her off. He turns his attention to Muki and holds his hand. Other than his concerns about Yao Ge's intentions, what bothers him most is sharing Muki with another person. The eunuch accepts their decision and promises to relay it to the queen. Muki tells the eunuch not to bother the queen further, as she's already too busy with the affairs in the palace. As Anga is part of the court, it will be up to Muki to present his case to the emperor, so that they can discuss the matter. He then calls for the guards to take Yao Ge to the dungeons for the crime of seducing him. He orders them to not let her go until he says so. Yao Ge is left speechless. She did not expect things to go this way. As the guards drag her away from the crown prince, she begs to be spared, appealing for his mercy. Muki grabs Anga's hand as he leads him away. Anga asks where they are going. Muki answers that he wants to see his emperor and receive his blessing. He does not want anyone to separate him from Anga. Anga is stunned by his answers. Finally coming back to his senses, he smiles at Muki and happily agrees. Whatever may come their way, they shall face it hand in hand. The emperor sits on the golden throne. Muki approaches the mighty emperor with Anga beside him and respectfully greets his father. Curious about what made his son come to meet him at such short notice, he asks Muki what he wants. Before Muki could tell the emperor the reason for his visit, the second prince, Muchi, interrupted him with an urgent report. He demands to have Luo Anga removed from his position as subdirector. To the crown prince, he accuses Anga of being a male seducer, who intends to lead the crown prince astray. He proposes that Anga be punished by death for such a heinous crime. Muki scolds the second prince for spouting nonsense. Anga observes that the second prince must have anticipated their arrival, as he has been awaiting the moment to foil Muki's plan to talk to the emperor. Observing Anga's face, he comments that the queen must have chosen Yao Ge due to her similarities to Anga. He tells them that he knows that his concerns will fall on deaf ears, but his brother is clearly enchanted by Anga. He admits that he heard about what happened in the Eastern Palace that morning. The crown prince even dared to reject the queen's goodwill. Muki smiles and points out that the second prince is too well informed to know something that happened only recently. He sarcastically tells the second prince that he should learn from him. The second prince panics. He realizes that Muki knows that he has spies in the Eastern Palace. I guess the words learning from you can also be interpreted as Muki threatening him to dig up dirt on him, just like what the second prince did to Muki. Worried that the emperor might catch on, that he's been spying on his brother, Muki tells the emperor that he's only parroting the gossip he heard in the palace. He expresses his worry that his brother is being fooled. While he does not want to offend him, he feels that the gossip should be addressed. As Anga is the former emperor of Yunma, he suspects that Anga has been seducing his brother with nefarious intentions. He seeks to have the emperor understand his concern for his brother. Anga was taken aback by the accusations and had no words to defend himself with. The emperor orders them to stop their squabbling and to be more mindful of their station. He turns his attention to Anga and asks him what he has to say about the accusations directed at him. Anga tells the emperor that rumors can be misconstrued as facts, and they should take rumors with a grain of salt. He pointed out that the second prince must have been confused by the rumors as he has not visited the palace in so many years. He quells the emperor's anger by assuring him that none of the accusations are true. The second prince tries to protest. The emperor asks if Anga is also denying having an intimate relationship with the crown prince. Anga respectfully addresses the emperor and admits that he adores Muki and that his intentions are pure. He bore no ill will for the prince, and no such thing as seduction or deception has transpired. That's debatable. Muki is touched to hear Anga declare their relationship to the emperor. He is finally assured that Anga feels the same way towards him. The emperor angrily slams his hand on the seat beside him. He finds the thought of his son having an affair with another man unacceptable. Anga insists that their love is pure. He tells the emperor that they have come to seek the emperor's blessing. Anga wants to receive the emperor's permission to stay by Muki's side. The emperor does not want to hear their request. He chastises Anga. He tells Anga that he should lead Muki to the correct path, not lead him astray. To even have the audacity to seek his permission is ridiculous. The emperor orders the guard to arrest Anga for the crime of seducing the crown prince. He will be locked away to await execution. Muki stands between Anga and the guards, preventing them from arresting his beloved. The second prince decides to add fuel to the fire. He asks Muki if he too wants to disobey the emperor. Muki kneels down in front of the emperor and reminds him that he once told Muki that his words carry weight. Muki tells the emperor that he promised to share this life and the next with Anga. He tells the emperor that if Anga were to be punished, then he wants to be punished as well. The emperor is further angered as he views Muki's action as a challenge. Muki assures him that he is not bluffing. The emperor turns to Anga and asks him if he does not fear death. Anga kneels down beside Muki and confidently tells the emperor that he does not care about what will happen. He only wants to stay by Muki's side. The conviction in their words stuns the emperor. The emperor remembers that many years ago, his own brother tried to steal a throne from him. His brother, Prince Rong, attacked his palace, intending to end his life. Their royal father was ill, and his brother wanted to take the opportunity to get rid of everyone who stood in his way to power. He told his wife to hide among the crowd and to be quiet. His wife smiled at him indulgently, telling him that she would never leave his side. They would be together in life and death. Finally, reinforcements arrived, and they were saved. He thinks that his wife made a lot of effort to separate Muki and Anga, not realizing that their love is as strong, if not stronger, than what she had with her emperor husband. He turns to his second son, ordering him to leave. The second prince tries to protest, but his father is firm with his order. He has no choice but to obey. The emperor orders the two to rise from their kneeling positions. He tells them that he is wise enough to know what is right. The two rise to their feet in relief. The emperor asks Anga if he is willing to let go of his title as emperor of Yunmo to pursue his relationship with Muki. Stepping down from his position to become the conqueror's lover will give him a bad name in the history books. Anga tells the emperor that his only dream is for his country to thrive, so that his people can live bountifully and in peace. Muki made it happen. Therefore, he wants to dedicate his life to Muki. Muki tells his father that the only one he's ever loved is Anga. Holding Anga's hand, Muki begs for the emperor's permission. With a sigh, the emperor tells them to never forget their promise. It is said that true love is hard to come by within the royal family. The two must persevere to face all the challenges that will come. Muki's face lights up, asking the emperor if he is giving them his blessing. The emperor agrees, but he has one condition. Muki should never accept concubines, and he should produce an heir to the throne, a son. How is he going to do that if Muki is not going to have concubines? This is a good example of unrealistic expectations from Asian parents. The emperor drives home the importance of producing heirs in the royal family for the sake of their people. He side-eyes Anga, knowing that he knows better than to object. Anga understands the emperor's condition. Out of the blue, Muki tells them that the matter of having heirs is not a problem, as he already has a son who recently turned 4. The emperor and Anga are shocked to hear this, and they look at Muki incredulously. I'm shocked, too. Where did the kid come from? The emperor thinks that Muki is lying. Eager to call his bluff, the emperor asks Muki when he fathered a son. Muki asks the emperor if he has forgotten. During an inspection in Jiangnan 4 years ago, Muki had an affair with a woman and impregnated her. Their union produced a son, looking at Muki incredulously. Anga clenches his fist as he realizes that it happened before he met Muki. Muki tells the emperor that the child came to his palace with Muki's token not long ago. The mother passed away due to illness, leaving the child alone. Was he not aware of the child, or did he leave her alone without child support? Muki has been hiding the identity of the child and has kept him in his palace. The emperor cannot believe his ears. Yeah, that is a lot to take in one day. First, he finds out that his heir is gay. Next, he finds out he has a grandson he does not know about. The emperor is flabbergasted. He cautions Muki not to defile their lineage by bringing in some random child so that he can trick him. Muki confidently tells him that the child is indeed his. He assures his emperor father that once he meets the child, he will see for himself that the child is Muki's. He is even happy to prove it quickly by arranging a meet and greet between his son and his emperor father. True to his words, Muki orders a servant to bring him his son. After an hour, a child enters the throne room, accompanied by an eunuch. Muki addresses the child by the name of Feng, gently coaxing him to meet his royal grandpa. The child's small hand reaches for Muki's and clings to him. With a cute stutter, he greets his emperor grandpa. The emperor is shocked to see that the child bears a striking resemblance to Muki. The similarity is uncanny. Muki looked just like this child when they were around the same age. Anga tries to smile, but all that he can muster is a sad grimace. He is upset that Muki never mentioned this child before. The emperor demands to know if the woman who gave birth to the child is clean, and if Muki has investigated the child's ancestry. Muki pats the child's head while assuring his father that he did his due diligence. He even dares his father to run a test to prove that the child is his. The emperor's suspicion eases, and he calls for his servant to bring him a silver needle and water. I did not know that ancient times had a way of determining a child's paternity. At the mention of a needle, the child shakes in fear, and Muki patiently assures the child. When the needle is brought, the child tries to struggle as Muki draws a tiny drop of blood from him. Meanwhile, Muki coos at him and assures the child that it will only take a second. 2 droplets of blood fall into the waiting bowl of water. They waited in bated breath, and finally, the blood fused together. The eunuch gleefully congratulated the emperor for having a grandson. The emperor exclaims in delight and announces that he will make the child's identity public and is eager to set a date for a ceremony. Muki thanks his father. The emperor tells Muki that he will not come between him and Anga. However, the child's mother deserves to have a title. Muki assures him that he knows what needs to be done. Meanwhile, Anga slumps in betrayal and disbelief. He figured out that Muki had planned to use the child all along. Muki was aware that he had a son, yet he never mentioned it to Anga. Meanwhile, the emperor gleefully greets his grandson and pats him indulgently on the head. The emperor would be a wonderful grandpa. The emperor pats Muki on the shoulder, assuring him that he won't interfere in his private affairs. As part of the royal family, privacy is a luxury that is hard to come by, but the emperor is willing to indulge Muki. His only request is for Muki to solve the problem he caused with the courtiers and to not let him down. Muki confidently assures him that he will do things right. Moving on to the topic of the concubines, the emperor wants Muki to mend his relationship with his queen mother, as she only wants what's best for Muki. The emperor does not want the queen to be hurt over a trivial matter. Muki readily agrees. With so many revelations within a day, the emperor feels his energy waning and orders Muki to leave. Muki respectfully bids him farewell. Grabbing Anga's hand, Muki exits the throne room with his son. Anga is still upset and breaks free of Muki's grasp. He excuses himself respectfully, Muki lets him go, but he knows that something is wrong. In the Eastern Palace's dining hall, Anga and Feng sit at the table. Feng happily munches on some food, while Anga watches him. Yu stands to the side, waiting to assist them. Unbeknownst to the child, the air around Anga is tense. Feng suddenly turns to Anga, inviting him to eat a piece of cookie. Anga takes the cookie, to the child's delight, and thanks him. The child proudly tells him that his mother always taught him to share the good things. Anga realized that the child's mother must be a good woman, and it's no wonder that Muki took a fancy to her. The child tugs at Anga's sleeve, asking Anga if he does not like him. Poor kid. Anga assures the child that there's no reason for anyone to dislike him as he is such a sweetheart. He asks the child what his name is. The child is for him. Anga connects the family name to the name Muki and introduces himself as Mofeng. It is the name his mother chose and usually uses when in disguise. Muki must have used the alias multiple times. Muki met the woman before meeting Anga in Yunlei. Anga wonders if Muki fell out of love with the woman and quickly moved on to Anga. He worries that the same thing may happen to them, and Muki will quickly fall out of love with him. Sensing the change in his mood, the child touches his face and tells him not to be sad. Anga smiles at the child and thanks him sweetly. Anga assures Feng that he is fine. Yu interjects that they should go back to Yunlei. The crown prince lied to Anga and must not be taking his relationship with Anga seriously. He assures Anga that there will be many more men willing to throw themselves at Anga's feet in Yunlei. A voice interrupts his tirade, accusing him of wanting to steal Anga away from him. Muki enters the dining hall, and Yu quickly prostrates himself on the floor in apology. Muki tells him to leave and to take the child with him. Yu's in trouble. Anga assures Muki that Yu is all bark and did not mean what he said. The ravings of his servant do not concern Muki, and he quickly asks Anga what upsets him. They just received the Emperor's blessings, yet Anga is sad. He wonders if it's all because of the child. Anga denies this and tells Muki that the child's arrival came at a convenient time. Very convenient, if you ask me. With the existence of an heir, the Queen Mother will stop nagging Muki to take in more concubines, and the pressure of having children will be off of Muki's back. This is the best scenario they could hope for. However, Anga's heart is not at ease. Anga believes that love is all about trust. Muki could have told Anga about the child and his plans, yet he lied to Anga, making Anga feel foolish. Muki assures Anga that he has only ever loved Anga. Shockingly, Muki admits that the kid is not his. So, whose kid is Feng? Muki reveals that Mofeng is his sixth uncle's illegitimate son. His uncle traveled a lot and was a prolific playboy. Out of all his illegitimate children, Feng just happened to be the one who resembled Muki the most. So, he had his trusted friend, Chuan Huan, get the child for him. Anga can't believe his ears. The blood test proved that he was Muki's kid. Muki tells him that the blood test is not foolproof. It only takes a gash of alum mixed in the water to make the blood fuse together. He learned this trick from a warlock. Anga finds this piece of knowledge astonishing. The child looks so much like Muki that no one would refute that he is the father. Muki explains that he did go to Jiangnan when he was younger, but he never took a fancy to any woman. It was in Yunlei that we fell in love. He coyly asks Anga to take full responsibility for making him fall so deeply in love. Anga tells him that taking responsibility is what he's been doing all along. Muki teases that this promise is now set in stone, and should Anga break the promise, he will be considered a sinner. Anga assures him that he won't break the promise. It dawns on Anga that what Muki did was risky. Anga admonishes Muki for doing the trick in front of the Emperor. Anga is worried that the second prince will soon uncover Muki's deception and expose them. When that happens, the Emperor will be very angry. Muki books Anga's nose with his finger and teases him for worrying so much for him. Muki assures him that he's not afraid of any punishment. Anga slaps his hand away in irritation and tells him to take him seriously and not talk ominously. Wanting to appease his lover, Muki readily agrees. He explains that his uncle passed away the year before, and Feng no longer has any relatives on his mother's side. There is no way that the truth will ever come to light. The cruel figure of Muki, standing above a pile of corpses, plays in Anga's head, with sweat dripping on the side of his face. Anga asks Muki if he did something to Feng's family. Muki flicks Anga's forehead. The child is definitely an orphan, and Mu-Ki played no hand in it. The child's mother passed away due to illness, and the child's identity will forever remain a secret. With a sigh of relief, On-Ga finally believes him. Bringing their faces closer, Mu-Ki tells On-Ga that he took on the arduous task of finding a child who looks like him, yet On-Ga thinks that he murdered the child's family. He thinks that On-Ga's wild imagination should be punished. On-Ga defends himself, citing that Mu-Ki phrased it in a way that made him appear like a murderer. Not listening to On-Ga's flustered words, Mu-Ki places his lips on On-Ga's to silence him. Mu-Ki tells On-Ga that he is happy. He is pleased that On-Ga defended him to the Emperor and for acting jealous over a woman he never met. With the Emperor's blessing, no one will come between them. On-Ga startles at hearing someone call Mu-Ki's attention. He puts himself at an appropriate distance from Mu-Ki, while bowing his head shyly, unable to look at the servant. Mu-Ki turns to the servant, irritation lacing his voice. The servant bows in respect, reporting that Yao Ge went to the Office of Punishment, but they fear that they may get in trouble if they punish her. As a concubine selected by the queen, she has the queen on her side, and the people in the Office of Punishment fear the queen's retribution. They wanted the crown prince's final decision over the matter. Mu-Ki assures them that he has already sorted it out with the queen, and orders the servant to carry out the punishment. On-Ga is pleased by the turn of events. He thanks Mu-Ki, but Mu-Ki waves him off. Yao Ge reminds On-Ga of his older sister, who's always been kind to him. He regrets that he did not see his sister shortly before she passed away due to illness. His sister was sent to Yi country to marry the emperor. Mu-Ki's father, and On-Ga distinctly remembers that she was energetic and full of life. He asks Mu-Ki if he met his sister and wants to know how she fared before she passed away. I guess royal families tend to marry into each other's families a lot. Mu-Ki tells On-Ga that his sister, Lady Luo, was dazzling, polite, and elegant. The emperor favored her. However, as she was part of the imperial harem, Mu-Ki was unable to see her. The concubines are kept hidden in the harem, and apart from the emperor and queen, only the female servants and eunuchs can see them. For some reason, Mu-Ki looked uncomfortable as he answered On-Ga's question. A memory intrudes into Mu-Ki's mind. The image of a woman being dragged away surfaces in his memory, a memory that he would not dare share with On-Ga. On-Ga takes pity on his sister. She had to go against her nature for the country's sake. She was never a shut-in and would never enjoy being cooped up inside. He remembers that his sister asked him to go horse racing before she left for Yi country. On-Ga never thought that it would be the last time he saw her. As the journey between Yunma and Yi country is arduous and long, the body was cremated, and all that was left to mourn over were her ashes. On-Ga never saw her dead body. Tears threatened to fall from his eyes at the sad memory. Mu-Ki calls him by his nickname affectionately. He tells On-Ga that it is all in the past, and his sister would not want On-Ga to be sad. On-Ga agrees as he knows that his sister loves him dearly and would only want his happiness. She will be happy to know that On-Ga found the one he wanted to be with until he grows old. Mu-Ki hugs him affectionately and promises On-Ga and his sister that he will make On-Ga very happy. On-Ga is stunned by the declaration, but decides to accept it. Relief washes over him as he hugs the man he loves. Meanwhile, Mu-Ki feels unsettled. Internally, he apologizes to On-Ga while hoping that On-Ga will never find out what truly happened. On-Ga separates himself from Mu-Ki, long enough to look into his eyes. He tells Mu-Ki that he wants to arrange a memorial ceremony for his sister and asks Mu-Ki if it is possible. Mu-Ki readily agrees. On-Ga then tells Mu-Ki that his sister once wrote to him that the palace she lives in is like an everlasting spring. Flowers bloom in her palace all the time. Mu-Ki kisses him to stop him from talking. He wants to quell his guilt. In his mind, the memory of On-Ga's sister's death haunts him. The vision of her body lies lifeless amidst the flowers she used to adore. Mu-Ki squeezes On-Ga's arms. When they part, On-Ga asks him why he suddenly kissed him. Mu-Ki teases him and tells him that he's only continuing from where they left off before the servant interrupted them. He asks On-Ga if they should continue. On-Ga protests while blushing. On-Ga tells him that doing this now is not a wise thing to do. Mu-Ki still needs to get in the good graces of the courtiers. Therefore, he should show restraint so that they will not have a bad opinion of him. Mu-Ki defends that the courtiers are already bad-mouthing him, so it wouldn't matter if they said more. Mu-Ki sneakily pulls down On-Ga's outer robe, making On-Ga blush and protest. A child's voice innocently asks them what they are doing. Feng waves at them from outside the window, asking if they are playing a new game that requires undressing each other and wants to join. No, that is not a game for kids. Muki lifts up his sleeve, scaring the kid for interrupting them. Feng startles in fear, and Anga kicks Muki from the back for bullying Feng. Seeing the comical sight of Muki, Anga sweats, not wanting to know if he should laugh or take pity on him. Muki lets out a hiss of irritation and whines to Anga for kicking him. Serves you right. Anga shouts at Muki to get dressed as he fears that they are not setting a good example for Feng. Realizing that shouting at Muki is also not a good example of a rational adult, Anga coughs to compose himself. He tells Feng that he and Muki were simply talking about adult stuff. As the weather is too hot, Muki decides to shed his outer robe, which is why he looks disheveled. Feng does not think that's what happened. He wonders if the two caught a cold. Anga is at a loss for how to answer the child and decides to pick him up so that he can come in from the window. Muki put on his clothes while reprimanding the kid for coming back when he explicitly ordered the servants to send him away. A maid rushes towards them to apologize for losing sight of the child and begs to not be punished. Muki lets the matter go and just tells her to take the child with her. However, Anga has other plans. He tells the maid to leave and decides to keep the child with her. He tells Muki that the day's events must have been harder for the child, and he volunteers to look after him for the night. The child excitedly asks for his father's permission to stay with Anga and wants to have a sleepover with him. Muki is quick to reprimand the child, staking his claim on Anga. He's literally getting jealous over a child. The banter between father and son is cute, but Muki needs to grow up. He tells that child to find his own life partner. The child does not understand what Muki is raving about, and he tells them that he's afraid to sleep alone. Poor kiddo. Let him sleep with Anga, you dolt. Anga chastises Muki for being hard on the kid, seeing that Anga is genuinely upset with him. Muki starts to sweat bullets. Anga turns his back on Muki and tells him that he can sleep in his study for the night. He's sure that Muki will enjoy it, as he likes his studies far too much. Muki tries to protest, but his complaints fall on deaf ears. Feng waves at him in delight, thanking him for granting him permission. Muki clenches his fist, totally defeated by the son he claimed to be his. A few days later, a ceremony takes place in the main palace. The eunuch reads the emperor's edict. He is thankful to God for allowing him to become emperor at such a young age, and the only thing he has yet to achieve is to become a grandfather. Finally, he is blessed to meet his grandson and is delighted to have this new addition to his family. Muki thanked his father for accepting his son. The second prince speaks out to protest. He tells the emperor that no one truly knows the boy's origin. He may look like the crown prince, but that does not automatically mean that they are related. The emperor tells him to shut up and asks him if he is challenging the emperor's decision. The second prince kneels down and explains that he simply does not want to have their family besmirched by some commoner's blood and ruin their blood's purity. He begs for his father to reconsider. The head of the courtiers interjects, siding with the second prince. They know little of the boy's mother, and he was born outside of the palace. They cannot allow him to be treated as a member of the royal family. It is not proper for the crown prince to have a child outside of the palace, and it may cause a precedent. The second prince is pleased by the turn of events. He realized that Muki did all this for Anga. This mistake is beneficial for him, as the courtiers will not allow a child out of wedlock to be in line for the throne. The attention directed at him makes Feng conscious. Anga comforts the child, assuring him that everything will be all right. Muki's plan has been beneficial for their relationship. However, a child coming out of nowhere is indeed suspicious. Anga realized that he needed to accuse the second prince of wanting to usurp the throne from Muki, so that the emperor would question the second prince's intention. This way, the second prince's attention will be on Anga. Before Anga can put his plan into action, Muki stops him and tells Anga to leave the matter to him. Muki gracefully admits that he has committed a grievous sin by having a son out of wedlock and seeks his father's punishment. He only wishes for the emperor to not take it on the child, as his son is innocent and was born by a respectable woman. The emperor sides with Muki. He is proud to hear his son admit to his fault. He orders Muki to be confined to the palace for a month. Although he is punishing his errant son, he still recognizes Feng as his grandson and does not want to hear any more protests against his decision. The second prince tries to object, but the emperor continues with his tirade. He is suspending the crown prince from participating in court affairs and will appoint the task of collecting taxes to the second prince. This decision appeases the second prince and the courtiers. When the emperor asks if there are any more objections, everyone bows down in thanks for his wise decision. Anga realizes that Muki is aware that the second prince will not take the matter lying down. Muki did not want Anga to face further criticism from the second prince and the courtiers. Muki decided to bear the punishment on his own. Muki knows how to pick his battles. He may have lost the important task of tax collection and was suspended from court affairs, but he got his son recognized as a future heir. On their way back home, Anga reflects on what happened with Muki. He's worried that since Muki will be out of court for a while, the second prince may take this chance to get the courtiers on his side. Muki appreciates that Anga is worried about him, but he wants Anga to take it easy. As he won't be busy for a while, he wants to take this opportunity to go on a trip, so that Anga can relax. He pokes Anga's head, making the former emperor wince. Anga chastises him for being too easygoing. The second prince is now in charge of taxes, which puts him at an advantage, yet all Muki can think of right now is to go on a trip. He tells Muki that the second prince might usurp his position as next in line to the throne. Muki tells Anga that the only thing important to him is making Anga happy. How sweet. Also, there's nothing he can do at the moment, as it is the emperor who made the decision. Anga pulls his hand away and expresses his guilt, knowing that Muki did it all for him. Muki boofs his nose, bringing Anga out of his self-deprecating thoughts. He tells Anga that he needs to stop worrying too much and not blame himself. He tells Anga that the task of collecting taxes is not a walk in the park. The second prince is not talented enough to take on the task, and all he knows to do is flatter people. He and Anga should take this chance to go on a vacation and come back once the second prince admits defeat. Anga has no choice but to agree, knowing that Muki must have already planned the trip. Muki is always one step ahead. This guy must have aced the adversity quotient test. He can quickly bounce back from adversities, and he's got a backup plan for everything. Anga thinks that Muki must be right and that he might be worrying unnecessarily. Muki asks the servant if everything has been prepared for the trip. The servant respectfully informs him that they repaired the hot spring so that the crown prince and the subdirector can enjoy it to the fullest. Muki is pleased to hear this and tells the servant that those who do a good job will be rewarded. Muki has high expectations for this trip. He envisions enjoying the hot spring while naked with Anga. His dirty mind concocts scenarios on how he can get it on with his beloved. However, his perverted fantasies are dashed by the arrival of his beloved and his dear son pouncing on him. Muki has to learn how to be very sneaky with the kid around. Muki turns to Anga in irritation and asks him why he brought the kid with him. Anga rubs the boy's head affectionately and tells Muki that there's no way that they can leave a child behind. It's a family trip after all. The child asks his father that he's not allowed to come with them. Feeling bad for the child, but still extremely irritated, Muki tells the child that he could come. The child excitedly thanks Anga and hugs him, which irritates Muki some more. Since you adopted him, you need to get your act straight and be his father. The carriage rolls without a hitch across the forest. The rattling sound lulls Feng to sleep. Anga lets the child sleep on his lap and comments that the child must have been too excited to sleep last night, after Anga told him about the trip. Muki brings up a matter he wants to talk about with Anga while the boy sleeps. He looms over Anga, their faces too close. He asks Anga if he is aware of how much effort Muki put in to prepare for this trip. Anga knows what Muki is implying. He wants a reward for all his efforts. Anga asks him if he's crazy, as there is a child sleeping next to them. Muki assures him that the child sleeps like a log. As long as Anga does not make too much noise, the child will not wake up. Not convinced, Anga tries to protest, but does not have enough will to stop Muki. After 2 hours, Feng wakes up and is surprised to see the adults in their disheveled state. Anga looks flustered, while his father looks smug. He asks Anga if they are playing the undressing game again, and wants to play. No. That is so wrong on so many levels. Muki throws his arm around Anga's shoulder and tells the child that it is a game that only adults can play. Once he's grown, he can play it with his playmates. Anga reprimands Muki for teasing the child. Muki pretends to be innocent and tells Anga that he is merely educating his son, who keeps on thinking about playing the undressing game. That's because he sees you playing a lot, like father, like son. Unable to take his perverted excuses, Anga throws a large pillow at him, knocking him out. They arrive at clearing, surrounded by pink cherry blossom trees. Feng quickly jumps off the carriage and runs around happily. He shouts back to Anga how much he loves this beautiful place. Anga tells the child not to run around too much, and Anga will take him out to play at a later time. Anga turns to Muki and tells him that he will take a walk with the child in the garden. He also tells Muki to take care of the luggage and clean up the room where they will be staying. The guards should be allowed to rest after doing a good job of escorting them. Muki agrees to Anga's request, his face still looking smug. This irritates Anga and leads the boy away from his father. Muki notices that Anga has been growing temperamental, but Muki can only blame himself for spoiling Anga. In the garden, Feng gleefully catches a butterfly in his hand and shows it to Anga. Anga praises him, agreeing that the butterfly is beautiful. Emboldened, Feng tells Anga that he will catch more butterflies for him. The child runs off to catch butterflies, and Anga turns to a nearby guard to ask if Muki has finished cleaning up the place. The guard tells Anga that the crown prince received a report from the palace regarding tax collections, and Muki is working on it in the study. Anga realizes that Muki cares about the job, but is simply not showing it so that Anga will not worry. In the study, Muki reads the report with his eyebrows scrunched together. He hears Anga enter the room to ask him if something is wrong. Muki explains that the report came from his men, stationed to spy on the second prince. He tells Anga not to worry and to rest. He promises to join him once he's done. Anga wants to help Muki relax, too. He invites Muki to come to the hot spring with him. When he's finished, Muki's heart stops at the invitation, and he quickly rises from his seat. He leans over Anga, excited at the prospect of being alone with Anga in the hot spring. Anga tells him that he is only doing his duty as sub-director. It's part of his job description to care for Muki's physical health. The hot spring will do wonders for his stress level. Muki smiles at him teasingly. He teases Anga, implying that Anga is interested in his body. Having had enough of his teasing, Anga throws a tantrum, asking Muki if he's coming or not. Muki tells him that he can't refuse an invitation from Anga. Anga blushes deeply at Muki's words. Yet again, Muki's perverted fantasies are dashed as little Feng accompanies them to the hot spring. To protect the child's innocent eyes, they went to the hot spring modestly dressed. In their inner layers, Muki asks harshly why the child is with them, which scares Feng a little. Anga tells Muki that now that Feng is Muki's son, he should come with them. This is the child's first time in the hot spring, and he is still at that age that requires adult supervision. Muki cannot refute this and can only watch as Anga leads his son to the hot spring. Anga tells the boy that he will help him wash his hair. Feng smiles at Anga sweetly. Meanwhile, Muki seethes as his efforts are wasted. Anga treats the child better than him. He is envious of the attention that Anga is giving the boy. Anga puts shampoo on the boy's head and tells Muki that he can wash his own hair as he's a grown man. Muki looks on dejectedly. Muki realized that Anga wanted to be hands-on in raising the child and would not allow the servants to take him away. Finally, Muki thinks of a way to get rid of the kid. He grabs his outer robe and walks away. Anga sees Muki leave and wonders if his jokes have gone a little too far. Feng asks Anga if his father is mad at him. The child consents that Muki does not like him. Taking pity on the child, Anga asks him why he would think that way. He tells the child that Muki was just busy. Muki is his father, and there's no way that he wouldn't dislike him. Feng explains that his father had been unhappy since he found out that he was coming to the hot spring with them. Muki really needs to step up. Before Anga could answer, they heard a mumbling sound from the dock. A rabbit sits on the dock, watching them. Feng swims to the edge of the spring to pet the animal. Muki shows up, explains that he found the rabbit in the garden, and asks Feng if he likes it. Feng happily tells Muki that he loves the rabbit and thanks his father for the gift. The gift made the child happy, and he realized that his father liked him enough to get him a rabbit. Poor kid. Maybe Muki will someday love this child as his own. Muki pats Feng on the head and tells him that there is also a female rabbit in the hole, and it escaped. He challenged the boy to catch the female rabbit. The boy excitedly tells him that he will do it, waving goodbye. Feng runs off to catch the female rabbit and tells Anga to enjoy the hot spring with his father. Anga knows what Muki is up to and freezes as Muki turns to him with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Mission accomplished. With the boy gone, he gets to have Anga all to himself. Muki walks over to Anga and lifts his chin up. Finally, they are alone. Anga tells him that he never knew that Muki is good at distracting children. Muki counters that he honed the skill by consistently distracting his unhappy lover. He spent his days thinking of ways to lull his beloved until he mastered the skill. Anga shyly asks if he really is that finicky. Muki assures him that he's happy to do whatever would make Anga happy and kisses Anga on the lips. Before things could go any further, Feng comes back calling for Anga. Startled, Anga pulls Muki, making him fall into the hot water. Anga pushes him down, submerging him in the water and hiding him from the child's view. Anga just assassinated Muki. Just kidding. Anga climbs out of the hot spring while Muki tries to chastise him for almost drowning him. Anga approaches the child, asking him what happened. The child runs up to him, showing him his catch. He tells Anga that he caught the best-looking rabbit for Anga. What a sweet boy. Although that rabbit looks like it has seen the horrors of the world, Anga is touched by the cute gift and thanks Feng. He tells the boy that he's as cute as the rabbit. Feng hugs Anga while Muki watches the interaction between the two. Admitting defeat, Muki decides to let the matter of his almost assassination go, as he can never be truly angry at Anga. Squeezing the water out of his robe, Muki tells Anga that he and the boy have gotten very close. It's almost as if the child is Anga's biological son. Anga declares that he likes Feng very much and praises the child for being smart and sweet. Feng announces that he also likes Anga. Muki tells the child that Anga is his godfather, and he must call Anga father. Anga exclaims in disbelief while Feng is confused. They spent the rest of the day playing Go. Feng sits on his father's lap, not wanting to be away from the adults. Muki tells Anga that, had he known that the child would be too clingy, he would not even consider showing him off too early. Anga assures him that fatherhood is not easy. He tells Muki that since he made the decision to present him to the emperor as his son, he must take this opportunity to be the child's father and spend quality time with him. Muki agrees and comments that he must learn parenting skills from Anga. A eunuch enters the room, his voice loud enough to wake up the sleeping Feng. The eunuch announces that the emperor orders his immediate return to the palace. Muki asks him why, and the eunuch answers that the second prince was caught taking bribes, which made the emperor furious. The emperor is investigating the matter thoroughly. However, the second prince insists that the crown prince is framing him. The second prince is stupid enough to get caught and audacious enough to blame it on Muki. Muki sets down the child as he stands. He realized that the second prince must be getting desperate and ordered the eunuch to prepare their carriage. The eunuch obeys Muki's order to get the carriage ready and leaves. Anga grabs Muki's hand for support. He tells Muki that the second prince must have something up his sleeves if he is audacious enough to put the blame on Muki. He warns Muki to be careful. Muki assures Anga that he also has his own plans. In the royal palace, the emperor angrily throws the report at the second prince, disappointed that his son tried to fool him when he gave him the important job of collecting taxes. The second prince insists that he was framed. He tells his father they never accepted any bribes and that he tried to do his job well. The emperor points out that he signed his name on the account books and many lords are pointing their fingers at him. There's no way that these lords conspired against him. The second prince insists that tax collection was Muki's original task. Therefore, Muki must have conspired with the lords to frame him. The emperor does not believe his nonsense. The second prince bows down to the emperor and insists that he must have offended his brother too much, when his protests resulted in the crown prince's punishment. Muki denies this accusation. He tells them that he took his son to the palace's hot spring to reflect and relax. As the place is remote and he is surrounded by the emperor's royal guards, he won't be able to enact any revenge against the second prince. The second prince accuses Muki of purposely luring him into a trap. By doing so, he just admitted that he actually enacted the crime. The trap wouldn't be effective if he was not doing anything wrong. The emperor no longer wants to hear his nonsense. He is deeply disappointed that not only did his son accept bribes, but he also tried to frame his brother. The emperor orders a guard to take the second prince and bans him from participating in court affairs. This means that the second prince is unfit to handle state affairs. He will no longer have power. The second prince protests as the guards drag him away. The emperor pinches the bridge of his nose, telling Muki that he's too old for this. Muki assures him that he is still young and helps his father to his seat. He tells the emperor that, as long as he takes better care of himself and follows the doctor's advice, he will be able to live a long and fulfilling life. The emperor tells him that he knows his body best. As an emperor grows older, he becomes more suspicious. I guess the lies, deception, and greed will get to you, until you're at a point where you can't trust anyone. Maybe it's truly lonely at the top. The emperor refuses to be senile, like his predecessors, and believes that it is time to pass the throne to Muki. Muki kneels in front of his father in protest. The emperor has made up his mind and tells him that he chose a date for Muki's enthronement. The enthronement of the empress is held on the same day as the emperor's, and he wants to leave it up to Muki to convince the courtiers that Anga would make a great empress or to rule without one. This is the hardest task that the emperor has bestowed upon Muki. Muki respectfully accepts the role and thanks his father for trusting him. The second prince is not yet done. Even when he lost his chance at being emperor, he could not let Muki get away unharmed. He wants Muki to suffer. He goes to the Eastern Palace, seeking out Anga. Anga greets him cordially, but his scrunched eyebrows clearly show that he does not trust the second prince. The second prince mocks him for being a caged bird. He reminds Anga that he is an emperor, whose country was conquered by the very man he loves. Anga does not take his bait. He tells the second prince that he has more important matters to attend to than fight with him. He then calls for someone to escort the second prince out of the Eastern Palace. A eunuch heeds Anga's command, but before he can be escorted out, a second prince asks Anga if Muki is being honest with him. He shouts that if Muki truly cares for Anga, that he wouldn't harm Anga's sister. Anga is shocked to hear this. He turns to the second prince, asking him what nonsense he's spouting. His sister died of an illness. The second prince laughs mockingly, asking him if he even saw the body. He tells Anga that only the idiots from Yunlo would believe such lies. The second prince tells Anga that the emperor favored his sister when she entered the palace and soon became pregnant. She was then caught having an affair with one of the guards, and it made the emperor so furious that he ordered her execution. It was Muki who ended her life. Everyone knows about it, but no one dares to tell. Anga shuts him up. He knows that his sister is a well-educated woman and would not do anything shameful, like having an affair. He angrily calls for someone to get the second prince out of his sight. The second prince insists that whether she truly had an affair or was framed is not the issue. The person who would benefit from her demise is none other than Muki. Yu rushes toward Anga to comfort him. Anga tells him that the second prince came to rock the boat between him and Muki. The emperor must have punished him for his crimes, and he has come to cause trouble. Anga does not trust him at all. He accepts Anga's words. However, Anga does not look convinced by his own words. The seed of doubt has been planted. He tells you that he wants to take a walk alone. Luo Anga walks across the garden, his mind reeling from the sudden revelation. He does not trust the second prince. However, it is true that he did not see his sister's body. It was suspicious that she was cremated soon after her death. He suddenly remembers Muki's reaction when they were talking about his sister. Muki clearly wanted to avoid the topic when they were talking about her. His musings are interrupted by a voice reprimanding him. It is the fourth prince. The fourth prince came to air his grievances about Anga. The crown prince was grounded because of Anga, yet Anga dares to walk around the imperial garden rather than join Muki in the palace to reflect. Anga tries to defend himself, but hesitates. Anga decides that he can ask the fourth prince about his sister. The fourth prince shares the same mother as Muki and would not lie about what happened. Anga tells the fourth prince that Muki is now free to roam and is no longer confined in the palace. The fourth prince continues to reprimand him for roaming around too soon after being released. There's no winning against this guy. He then calls Anga heartless. Anga tells him that he never offended the fourth prince, and he does not understand why the fourth prince is so mad at him. He dares the fourth prince to say what his problem with Anga is. The fourth prince is about to say something, but decides against it. He tells Anga that he must always think about how kind Muki has been to Anga and to never betray him. Before he could leave, Anga stopped him. Anga tells him that his sister's birthday is today and he wants to worship her in the place where she resides in Yi country. He asks the fourth prince to take him there. The fourth prince shakes him off, harshly pulling his hand away. Anga tells him that Lady Luo is his twin sister. The fourth prince chastises him for mentioning his sister in the palace. He tells Anga that the woman is shameless and does not deserve to be worshipped. He refuses to show Anga where she lived. Anga angrily quarrels with the fourth prince, daring him to cuss his sister again. Anga dares the fourth prince to repeat what he said. The fourth prince mocks him, saying that there's only one shameless lady, and it is Anga's sister. He tells Anga that his sister had an affair with one of the guards while pregnant. Anga grabs the fourth prince, intent on making him take back his words. His sister would never do such a shameless act. She's highly educated and does not deserve to be slandered. The fourth prince mocks him and asks who would do such a thing. She was caught red-handed and brought shame to the royal family. It is a sin to worship a shameless woman. Anga feels the world closing in on him as he denies what he is hearing. Muki comes home later in the day. He removes his cloak, and while he hands it over to the eunuch, he asks for Anga. The eunuch answers hesitatingly. He was told that the sub-director wanted to be left alone and went to the imperial garden. Muki asks what happened. The eunuch shakily tells him that the second prince came and made wild accusations about the death of Anga's sister. The eunuch kneels in front of Muki, berating himself for not stopping the second prince in time. Muki harshly asks him to repeat himself. The eunuch prostrates to the ground, begging for forgiveness. Muki hunches his shoulders in defeat. He leaves the shaking eunuch behind, intent on finding Anga. Arriving at an abandoned house, he finally finds Anga. Anga turns to him with a smile. Muki tells Anga that he heard what happened with the second prince that day. He explains that the second prince is just being resentful because the emperor dismissed him from his position. Anga cannot trust the words of the second prince. Anga holds his hand. He tells Muki that they have been through a lot, and he can tell when Muki is lying. He won't believe another person's word over Muki's. Muki lets out a sigh of relief. However, he celebrated too soon. Anga assures him that he will not listen to other people, so he wants to hear it from Muki. He wants to know what really happened to his sister. He learned from the fourth prince that his sister had an affair and was poisoned. Anga wants to know if it is true. Muki did not answer. To Anga, his silence can only mean one thing. All that he heard about his sister is true. Anga cries to mourn his sister, and Muki comes closer to comfort him. Anga avoids his touch and asks Muki if he believes him. Muki answers with conviction that Anga is his most precious person and believes in him wholeheartedly. Anga tells him that he and his sister are twins and are very similar, even with their personalities. He does not believe that she could do something so shameless and be disloyal to the emperor. Anga shakes in anger as he tells Muki this. Muki steps closer to him, assuring him that he believes Anga. Anga cries as he demands an explanation of why Muki would end his sister's life and allow her to be slandered. Even in death, people are cursing her. Her soul will never be at peace. Guilt crosses Muki's face. Anga pushes him off of him. Anga remembers what the second prince said. His sister was pregnant when she was poisoned, and she was the emperor's favorite. Her child would threaten Muki's place as crown prince, so Muki shamed her. Anga knows that Muki is an arrogant person, but he never knew that Muki would resort to such dirty acts. The emperor is wise and would not replace the crown prince. There was also tension between the two kingdoms at the time. Anga's sister would not want to get in Muki's way. She is far too gentle. She won't even hold a grudge. Anga begs him for the truth. He wants to know who did such a cruel thing to his sister. Muki remembers his mother telling him to not worry about Lady Luo. She assures him that she will handle the matter herself. Muki's mind is in turmoil. The matter regarding Lady Luo includes a few people, and even his queen mother is involved. If he tells Anga, then he will surely. Anga takes a step back. He tells Muki that all he wants is the truth, increasingly agitated by Muki's silence. Anga asks him why he can't tell Anga when he obviously knows something. Muki answers that the topic is forbidden. It's been so long ago that no one can recount what happened very clearly. Even Muki can't tell what truly happened. Anga slaps his hand away. He tells Muki that he will find someone willing to tell him. He will investigate it on his own. Muki tries to stop him. He tells Anga that the emperor does not want to hear about Lady Luo and will be angry when he hears that Anga has been asking around about her. All Muki wants is more time. He will figure something out for Anga. Anga cries on his chest, telling him that he cannot let the matter go. His sister loves him the most, and he can't just let her go. Startled, Anga stops and raises his hand to his mouth. Blood seeps out from between his fingers. The stress of the day takes its toll on Anga, and he coughs up blood. Muki screams his name in despair. Muki takes Anga to their bedroom in the Eastern Palace so that a doctor can examine him. Asking the doctor how Anga is faring, the doctor kneels to report that the poison has not left Anga's body. Due to the stress, Anga is now unconscious, and the poison has reached his lungs. Before the doctor can announce that Anga's condition is not looking good, Muki tells him to stop. He orders the doctor to find the cure at all costs. The Imperial Hospital will shoulder the blame if something happens to Anga. The doctor begs him to be merciful and promises to do whatever he can to save Anga. However, if they do not know what poisoned Anga, then there's nothing they can do. Muki knows how to find out which poison was given to Anga. He orders his royal guard, Lan Feng, to deploy 20 soldiers to go to Yunle and arrest Kong Guan. Anyone who tries to stop them should be slain on the spot. After ordering Lan Feng to waste no time, he turns to Anga. He tells the sleeping Anga that he wanted to tell him about his brother and Kong Guan's betrayal, but a lot of things happened. Muki yearns to kiss his Xiao and leans down. Before their lips could touch, Anga woke up, pushing Muki off him. Anga asks him who he is and what he is doing in his room. Muki is stunned for a second. Anga looks around the room in confusion, realizing that this is not his room. He remembers having a drink with Moran, but now he does not know where he is or why he is in this place. Muki wonders why Anga would mention the alias he used when they met. An onslaught of memories rushes through Anga's mind, causing his head to hurt really badly. It's as if his head is being split in two. Muki asks him what's going on and tells him not to be scared. Anga pushes him off, not wanting a stranger to touch him. Calling for Moran, Muki realized that Anga remembered Moran, but not him. Muki asks Anga if he's drunk for not recognizing him. He tells Anga that he still has the love token that Anga gave him. He shows Anga the exquisite dice he made for Anga. Anga asks him if he is Moran. Muki eagerly tells him yes. With his hand shaking, Muki has to make a choice. He wanted Anga to forget what happened in the past few years. Anga grabs his face, pinching his cheeks with both hands, and asks him how he got so old overnight. Are we back to where they started? Muki observes Anga's symptoms and notices that they are the same as before. He concludes that it is due to the poison. He worries that Anga must be confused and panicking. He resorts to easing Anga's worries. He tells Anga that he did not grow old overnight. They have been together for the past 4 years. He says that Anga had an accident and hit his head the day before, resulting in his amnesia. At the mention of 4 years, Anga cannot believe that he lost 4 years of his memories. Muki tells him that he knows about Anga's real identity. When they met, Anga was the crown prince of Yunle. Anga is astonished to hear that Muki knows it all. Muki tells him that they made a vow to be together forever and that there wouldn't be any secrets between them. Is he going to tell Anga everything? His words open up a floodgate of memories for Anga. However, he cannot piece together his memories, causing more confusion. He holds his head in pain, wondering why so many memories are assaulting him. He sees snippets of images, but can't make sense of them. Muki tells him not to force himself to remember. He assures Anga that he will be there for him and will tell him everything he needs to know. I wonder if he'll keep that promise. Muki asks the doctor if Anga's memory loss is due to the poison. The doctor agrees that the toxicity has reached his brain and is affecting his memories. However, the doctor assures him that Anga will be fine with enough care. Muki clarifies if Anga would regain all his memories. The doctor tells Muki that if they want to make Anga regain his memories, they need to come up with an antidote for the poison soon. Muki tells the doctor to prescribe some tonics for Anga to relieve his headaches. The doctor promises to do his best. However, the tonic can't help with his stress. Muki knows that what happened to his sister caused Anga's distress. Now that he has forgotten the sad memory, it is probably better for those memories to not resurface. The truth will make him suffer more. He orders everyone in his palace to never mention Lady Luo. Appropriate punishment will be given to anyone who defies the order. All of his servants agree in unison. Anga took his usual strolls in the garden when he started to feel better. Ji Xiang followed him around, reminding him to be careful. It was Muki who appointed him to take care of Luo Anga, referring to the crown prince as Moran. Anga tells Ji Xiang that Moran promised to take him to watch an opera that day. Ji Xiang looks at him with worry, but does not say a word. Anga tells Ji Xiang that he wants to meet Moran by the door. He should be home soon. From behind the gate, they can hear people talking. Someone is talking to the crown prince. The man insists that the crown prince must make a decision. The astronomers have chosen a date for his enthronement, and it will be at noon in 7 days. The emperor had already given his blessings, but wanted to hear the crown prince's input. Anga gestures for Ji Xian to stay quiet. Listening in, they hear the crown prince answer that his enthronement is a public event and requires further planning. Therefore, it should be postponed for another month. The courtier protests, citing that they have everything they need. The only thing that's missing is an empress. He asks Mu Qi if he is postponing his ascension because of Luo Anga. The courtier tells Mu Qi that such a notion is ridiculous. Making a man a queen will not be well received by the court and the nation. The crown prince admonishes the courtiers, named Wang. Choosing a queen is his personal affair and should not be up to others. The courtier reminds him that nothing is private when it comes to the royal family. Their business is everyone's business, even the matter of choosing a wife. The courtier tells Mu Qi that if he insists on making Anga his queen, he will lose the courtier's support. Mu Qi tells him that if he's that disappointed, then he can retire. Anga is not aware of the struggles that the crown prince is facing by keeping Anga around. The crown prince is always by Anga's side when he returns and does not tell him anything. Realizing that there's nothing more to discuss, Mu Qi turns his heel around and walks off. Wan tries to stop him, but Mu Qi does not listen. When he enters the gate, the sight of Luo Anga's worry face greets him. Mu Qi tells Anga that they're supposed to meet inside and asks what Anga is doing at the gate. Anga quickly walks towards Mu Qi and jumps him. Anga then calls him a liar. Mu Qi knows what Anga is worried about. He tells Anga that, as he's still recovering, he does not want to make Anga worry about such things. He asks Anga if it's the only thing he's upset about. Anga tells him that the more he hides Anga, the more people will target him. Anga wants everyone to know about their story. Once they hear about how they met, they will be touched and change their opinion about their relationship. That depends on what story Anga knows. The crown prince tells him that Anga is indeed right and has not thought about sharing their story. Anga tells him that if people continue to separate them, then he will. Anga hesitates, but the crown prince urges him to finish what he wants to say. Anga looks at the crown prince and tells him that he will take him to Yunlei. Yi country will be sorry, as they will lose their talented crown prince. Mu Qi chuckles at Anga, touched that he would act this way for him. Humoring Anga, the crown prince tells him that he will wait for the day that Anga sweeps him away. I feel bad for Anga because he obviously doesn't know what happened, and I also feel bad for Mu Qi because he knows the truth. Maybe at this point, part of him wants to live in that fantasy, where Anga and he can just run away to Yunlei. In the bowels of the Eastern Palace, the sound of footsteps echoes in the dank corridors. A guard escorts Mu Qi as he makes his way to the criminal he needs to see. Kong Guang is situated on a wooden cross. He tells Mu Qi that he is honored that 100 guards were deployed to capture him. Mu Qi asks him if he's heard of the most common torture techniques. Kong Guang answers that it's no use to intimidate him. The poison he gave Luo Anga does not have a cure. In his anger, Mu Qi orders a guard to make Kong Guang suffer. Kong Guang screams in pain. However, he continues to look at Mu Qi smugly. He laughs as he tells Mu Qi that the poison is called Nepenthes. It will not end people's lives, however. It has no cure. It will make people forget all the bad memories. He mocks Mu Qi, reminding him that it is what he wanted. Mu Qi denies the accusation. Kong Guang tells Mu Qi that he knows Luo Anga. They both know that Luo Anga will be ridden with guilt for letting his country get buried. Even if he promised to be with Mu Qi, their love will eventually die and hatred will grow. What Kong Guang is offering him is a chance to rewrite their love story. This is messed up. Kong Guang tells Mu Qi that as long as Mu Qi keeps the secret, Anga will never find out what happened. Anga will be dependent on Mu Qi and will love only him. Kong Guang tells him that Mu Qi should thank him for this wonderful chance. The memory of Anga's devastated face fills Mu Qi's mind. It was when Anga asked him why he ended his sister's life and allowed her to be slandered. Mu Qi leaves the cage. He orders the guard to watch Kong Guang and continue to harm him until Anga gets better. When Mu Qi returns to the Eastern Palace, a eunuch calls him, relieved to see him return. When asked what happened, the eunuch tells him that Luo Anga did not remember them when they greeted him that morning. Luo Anga kept murmuring the crown prince's alias, and they did not know what to do. He begs the crown prince to see Anga. The pitter-patter of shoeless feet catches Mu Qi's attention. Dressed only in his inner robes, Luo Anga runs to him, hugging his waist. He happily declares that he has finally found Mo Ran. It looks like Anga is regressing. It's like he's got Alzheimer's. It's scary. Muki lifts Anga up as the floor is too cold for Anga's naked feet. He asks Anga why he did not wear his shoes. Anga answered that he did not remember where his shoes were and could not find them. He reminds Muki that they agreed to visit the lake that day. Muki realizes that Anga keeps repeating the things they did when they were honest with each other. His memories are confused, and he remembers promises they made to each other 4 years ago. Anga excitedly tells him that they should go right away. He doesn't want to be late. Muki humors him and agrees, carrying Anga with him. Muki decides that it is better if Anga does not remember. I don't like where this is going. The Imperial Doctor introduces Dr. Wong to Muki. He is known for his expertise in curing poisons and has done extensive research regarding Nepenthes. Nepenthes is the poison given to Anga. Dr. Wong greets the Crown Prince, but Muki got straight to the point. He wants to know if Dr. Wong can cure the Nepenthes poison. Dr. Wong explains that Nepenthes is made of 27 poisons. It is hard to make an antidote for Nepenthes because some of the ingredients are hard to obtain. However, Yi Country has 17 of the herbs needed for the antidote, and with the Crown Prince's position, the herbs are at his disposal. As most of the ingredients are readily available, it would take Dr. Wong about 10 days to neutralize the poison. The Unique hearing this rejoices at the thought that Luo Anga will be cured. However, Muki feels unsettled. Oh no. He remembers what Kong Guang said. That guy's words are poison. Don't listen to him. Luo Anga will only love Muki and will be dependent on him. Mockingly, he reminds Muki that it is exactly what he wants. Muki tells the doctor to create the antidote as soon as he can and get whatever herbs he needs from the Imperial Hospital. In Muki's study, Anga watches Muki read through the reports. Muki tells him to take a walk in the garden if he feels bored, promising Anga that he will catch up with him. Once he's done, Anga smiles at him, telling him that he's not bored at all. He just wants to be around Mo Ran. This answer surprises Muki. He puts down his pen and asks Anga if he's happy. He asks Anga if he is able to lose the bad memories. Would he want to gain the memories back? Anga is surprised by the question. He smiles at Muki, assuring him that he's happy because he gets to be with Muki. He's happy because he can see Muki whenever he wants. He no longer cares about the bad memories. Muki wants to keep Anga like this, happy and content, unbothered by any worries. He wants to protect Anga's happiness. He kisses this carefree Anga who does not need to know anything. What he does not know won't hurt him is Muki's new motto. Anga reads a manuscript, and a Unique tells him that it is time to take his medicine. Anga looks at the Unique oddly, but his face does not show recognition. Anga asks the Unique who he is. The Unique worriedly reminds him that his name is Ji Xiang. He tells Anga that it was Mo Ran who sent him. So, they all have to pretend that Muki's name is Mo Ran. Anga happily thanks him and takes his medicine obediently. Ji Xiang observes that Anga is losing his memory at a rapid pace. If he continues to lose his memory, he will be reduced to being a simpleton. Ji Xiang tells Anga to rest and places a blanket around him. Ji Xiang tells Anga that he needs to go back to the Crown Prince. Sleepily, Anga tells him to wake him up once Mo Ran gets home. Taking the bowl of medicine from Anga, Ji Xiang guides Anga to lie on the bed and promises to wake him once the Crown Prince is home. Ji Xiang goes to the Crown Prince to report. From outside the study, he can hear Dr. Wong telling the prince that the antidote for Nepenthes is complete. However, he can only make 2 pills for the limited amount of ingredients. Based on Luo Anga's symptoms, only 1 pill is enough to help him recover his memories. Ji Xiang peeks from the door, happy to hear that the sub-director can finally regain his memories now that an antidote is available. However, Muki asks Dr. Wong to make another prescription. He wants him to make a prescription that would ensure Anga's physical health, but one that does not neutralize the poison. The Crown Prince's order baffles Ji Xiang. Dr. Wong recovers quickly, despite the odd request, and tells the Crown Prince that although Nepenthes does not shorten people's lives, the poison will continue to harm Anga's mind, resulting in severe memory loss. If left untreated, the poison will get stronger, and even if he takes the antidote, it may be too late for him. Muki hardens his resolve and tells the good doctor to do as he's told. The doctor has no choice, But to heed his request, Muki sets aside the antidote. He convinces himself that he's doing this for Anga. He wants to honor Anga's request to forget. He's not at full mental capacity to make that decision. You just want to keep him for yourself. Ji Xiang hides behind a pillar and waits for the Crown Prince to leave his study. Knowing that the Crown Prince does not intend to cure Luo Anga, Ji Xiang sneaks into Muki's study and takes the antidote. He owes a big debt to Luo Anga, and Ji Xiang wants to repay it. His good conscience will not allow Luo Anga's condition to deteriorate. Yes, Ji Xiang. Please help Anga. Muki tells Anga that he invited an opera troupe from Yunmo to perform for Anga. He promises to take Anga out after he takes his medicine. Anga looks at him happily, telling him that this is his first time to watch an opera from Yunle. Muki steals his resolve. Anga actually watched the opera 1,000,000 times. Muki tells him that the Flower Drum Opera is famous and Anga will surely like it. Ji Xiang realizes that Anga is unaware of what's truly happening and should not trust the Crown Prince. He takes out the antidote from his robe and pours it into the bowl. He can't allow Luo Anga to get worse. He needs to save him. Not all heroes wear capes. Some of them wear see-through hats and bathrobes. Muki tells Ji Xiang to give the medicine to him. He will help Anga take the medicine. Anga refuses to take the medicine. Muki tries to coax him by promising to take Anga out once he is better. Anga downs the bowl while Ji Xiang watches him in bated breath, hoping that Anga will get cured. Anga coughs, complaining about the medicine's bitter taste. Muki feeds him some sweets to counter the medicine's taste. He then asks Anga what it tastes like. Anga happily tells him that it is sweet, and Muki kisses him affectionately, tasting Anga's mouth. When they part, Muki teases that his lips are sweet. Anga blushes. Ji Xiang watches the two and decides to take his leave, even without prompting from the Crown Prince. He closes the door to give the couple their privacy. Deep down, he prays that he did the right thing. After several days, Luo Anga spends the day staring out the window. Ji Xiang approaches Anga, telling him that he will accompany him to the garden. Once again, Luo Anga does not seem to recognize him. Ji Xiang introduces himself, repeating the line where he tells him that it was Mo Ran who sent him. Anga answers the same way he does every day. Ji Xiang is worried. The medicine should have taken effect by now, and Anga should start to remember. He thinks that the dosage must not be enough. Ji Xiang sneaks back to Muki's study, and this time he is caught. He kneels in front of the Crown Prince, not knowing how he will explain himself. Muki passed the box to Dr. Wang and asked him to check the medicine inside the box. Dr. Wang confirms that one of the antidotes has been replaced. Muki turns angrily to Ji Xiang, and Ji Xiang explains that he couldn't watch idly as Luo Anga loses his brilliant mind. He is willing to take the punishment. Muki clarifies if Anga has been given the antidote. Muki remembers that Anga's case is not so serious and that one pill is enough to cure him. Ji Xiang tells him that Anga does not show any signs of getting better. Muki returns to their quarters and Anga happily greets him at the door. Anga hugs him sweetly and Muki tries to gauge if Anga remembers anything. Anga smiles at him, urging him to get changed. He tells Muki that they are late for the Flower Drum Opera. Muki tells Anga that he can't go out with him for a while. Anga asks him why dejectedly. Muki pinches his nose and tells Anga that the emperor asked him to supervise the tax revenue and he needed to go immediately. He won't be back for a while. Anga answers that Muki has already settled the matter of tax revenue. This is when Anga realized that he had made a mistake. He turns away from Muki, realizing that it is all a test. Muki holds his hand. He now knows that Anga remembers everything. Anga's tears drop on Muki's finger. Muki lifts his face up and looks at Anga's crying face. He tells Anga that he is the one to blame. If Anga does not want to remember, then they can leave everything behind and carry on, as if Anga has forgotten about the sad memories. Anga admits that he does not know what to do. He can't bring himself to face Muki, but he can't also face himself. He can't clear his sister's name. He can only lie to Muki and to himself. Muki assures him that it is not true and that Anga is not at fault. Muki admits that he should have told Anga about his sister. He promises Anga that he no longer needs to worry about anything, and there will be no more tears. Several days passed. Luo Anga sits idly in the garden, Muki approaches him, telling him that he has a surprise for him. Anga tries to stop him. Anga tells Muki that he is about to be crowned emperor soon and should not do anything reckless. Until that day, they should not be seen together. There is no need for haste. Muki assures him that he knows what he is doing. He takes Luo Anga to a splendid-looking house in a nice neighborhood. Anga asks him where they are and what they are doing outside the palace. Muki tells him that there is someone he wants Anga to meet. They enter the opulent house, and Anga wonders who it is that Muki wants him to meet and why there is a need for all the suspense. From the house, a pair of dainty shoes step out. Muki tells him that the person he wants Anga to meet is here. In front of Anga is a beautiful woman, splendidly dressed. The woman looks exactly like Anga. It is Lady Luo, Anga's sister. She's alive. Muki lifts up Anga's chin. Despite all the secrecy and his suspicions, Anga decided to trust Muki. Anga tells him that it was not easy. Muki tells him that he never wanted to hide the truth from Anga, but the second prince has been spying on him, and he cannot risk it. Lady Luo has been in hiding, and her life will be at risk if it gets out that she's still alive. Anga hugs Muki, and is touched that Muki has been thinking about what would make Anga happy, even when they were not yet together. He thanks Muki for everything he did for him. Muki calls him silly. The lovey-dovey scene between the two is interrupted by Anga's sister. Anga looks at her with worry. She tells him that he can relax as she's already aware of his relationship with the crown prince. She asks him if he's sure about Muki. Anga tells her that he already made a decision even before he promised Muki that he would stay in Yi country with him. With conviction, Anga tells his sister that he wants to be with Muki. Even if no one accepts him as Muki's partner, Anga will stay. Lady Luo flicks Anga on the forehead, calling him her silly brother. Anga looks at his sister, who touches his face, telling him to follow his heart. She wants them to be truly happy. Anga assures her that he will be happy as long as he is with the one he loves. Muki promises to never make Anga sad. Anga lightens the mood by reprimanding Muki for talking to his sister casually. Lady Luo tells them that gentlemen always keep their promises, and she hopes that they will never forget the promises they made that day. She gives her blessing for their union. Muki thanks her for giving her approval and tells her that it is the best gift that they could receive. Anga agrees. On the way home, Anga happily watches the scenery. Muki asks him if he's truly happy. Anga thanks him, his eyes shining with unbridled happiness. He was worried that his sister would be angry about his decision and felt relieved that she approved. Muki tells him that the people who truly care about him want him to be happy. Muki can tell that Luo, Anga's sister, genuinely wants Anga to be happy. She gave her blessings to assure Anga. Finally, Anga understands. In a husky voice, Muki asks Anga if they should go home. Anga agrees, finally with Muki by his side. There is a place that Anga can truly call home, and they lived happily ever after. The end. So the moral of the story is that being an emperor is not for everyone. Some people only want love, and that's okay. The people who truly love us will understand and support us. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.